How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel. My name is Miles Gutierrez. Thank you for joining me today. I checked out The Strangers Chapter 1. This was a movie that I was moderately interested in, but at the same time I was not all that really invested, because from the way that the trailers was presenting this movie is that this was going to be a prequel showing us how the strangers became these vicious and creepy killers, something that I did not want to be answered, to be honest, because what made the first movie creepy was the fact that these were killers that had no motivations and they were just doing it for the fun of it, and that is the mystery that I did not want to be ruined with this movie. Plus, they're going to be releasing these movies within a year, kind of in the same vein as the way that the X trilogy has been released. They released the first two in 2022, and then this year, almost 2 years later, we're finally getting the third movie. So this was going to be a little bit more of a shorter time, so that kind of had me a little bit more interested in how they're going to be pursuing this franchise moving forward. And so that was the only thing really interesting in this movie. And so in The Strangers Chapter 1, you have this couple that's going on a road trip. Their car breaks down, and now they're taken to this lodge in the middle of the woods in order for their cars to get repaired, and then they get paid a visit by the three strangers, and mayhem ensues. Now, leading up to this movie being released a couple of days ago, I was starting to get a little bit more excited, because for some strange reason TikTok decided to scare me at 3 in the morning and I was not able to fall asleep, and so that kind of made me a little bit more excited for the movie. Then the reviews started to come out, and that is where all my excitement literally just died. I will give it E for effort for trying to make this franchise in a kind of unique way. And when I say in a unique way, I just mean the way that they're going to be releasing these movies, because quite frankly, the only people that love this movie are the executives over at Netflix, because they know that nobody is going to be watching this movie this weekend, and so they are just ready to pay up for the next two movies and get dropped on Netflix. This is a standard remake to a point. It is basically a shot for shot remake of the original movie. I know this movie is being advertised as a prequel showing us the beginnings of the strangers, but that is far from what this movie is. You don't get to know anything about the strangers besides everything that you already know. So that mystery of who the strangers are is not gone. They are still the same killers that are there just for the fun of it, just for the cat and mouse kind of game, and they are there just to creep you out. But this movie is exactly what you think it's going to be. It is a movie with white people doing white people horror shit, and that is really the most frustrating thing about this movie. Because yes, I will spoil this movie, because quite frankly, I don't think anybody is going to go watch this movie, and if you do, I hope you'll enjoy it way more than I did. But this is a movie that you kind of want to watch on the electric chair, because it will cushion the blow, knowing that getting the electric chair won't be as bad as watching this movie. That is how bad this movie is, and I was kind of really hoping they would do something creative at the end. There were a couple of things towards the end of this movie that could have been creative and would have submerged your expectations. What this movie is basically every generic trope that you've seen in every single horror movie. You have the stereotypical couple, you have the stereotypical scares, and you have the stereotypical ending that you know exactly how this movie is going to end. The choices that are made in this movie are so ridiculously stupid that you kind of wish you could have had fun with this movie, but you don't, because it has every single trope that you've seen in every single time. You have the loud bangs, you have the knock on the door, but wait, hold on, let me open the door and check if the killers are gone, even though you know damn well that they are still out there, and you still do it. This is bottom of the barrel horror movie. You know exactly what kind of mistakes they're going to make. You have the guy that's tripping over everything, you have the slow crawl, you have the dead silence, you have the boyfriend that has a shotgun, right, in order for him to protect him and his girlfriend from the strangers. Now let me paint this picture, because I know you're not going to watch this movie. He's out in the middle of the woods trying to find his girlfriend, and he has the shotgun. However, one of the strangers hears it, and he sees the stranger from afar. But instead of blowing her fucking brains out like a normal fucking person, he just decides to hold her at shotgun point and doesn't decide to pull the fucking trigger. You have a fucking shotgun. Blow the bitch's brains out right fucking now. And I saw that clip before going into this movie, because I was scrolling on TikTok before I went into the movie, and then I saw that clip, and even when I saw it out of context, I knew you could have just blown that bitch's brains out, but you can't, because we gotta make two more of these shitty movies, and then it just ends with them getting caught just like in the first fucking movie with the same fucking dialogue. How you're able to take these three killers and make a shitty movie around them. It's not that hard to make a creepy movie like the first movie, and if you feel like there's no creative bones in this movie, you're 100% right, because there is nothing creative in this movie. You could have had something creative at the end where it could have been revealed that maybe the boyfriend or the girlfriend was part of this trio right here, and that's where I say that you could have had something creative, because I thought that's exactly where we were going. But no, it ends on a cliffhanger where the text at the end says to be continued, and it should have been followed by ... on Netflix, because that is where the next two movies are going to be continuing. They're going to be continuing on Netflix. This movie is bottom of the barrel horror. You know exactly where you're going to be getting yourself into, and you know exactly where this movie is going to end. You know exactly the beats it's going to be taking. You know every single turn that this movie is going to be getting. So overall, if you haven't guessed by now, I'm going to go ahead and give this movie a 0 out of 10. This movie is just bottom of the barrel horror that I just am over it. But those are my thoughts on The Strangers. I know nobody's going to check it out, but if you did, go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comments below and let me know what your guys' thoughts on this movie is. Are you excited for the next two, or are you just not interested? Go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys for the next review.